And we are back for losers bracket round 2 here in the ETS season 6 Invitational. And of course, we've got a doozy of a matchup. Every matchup in this tournament is a doozy. Maybe this is the dooziest of them, though. To help me figure out its level of dooziness is Gabe, aka Calimdir. How you doing, Gabe?
The doozy expert here at your service. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup. I don't know if opening hands are on screen, but this could go south pretty quickly. Okay, never mind. If
Well,
David
yeah,
had the right power,
Yeah,
but
deck lists
yeah,
are still on screen because we're breaking those down. So we've got level 13 David on TJP midrange, Team ET's kind of team list. So a lot of players is in the most represented deck in the tournament. But on the other end, Child Roland on Tavrod Armory, which we just saw Tony G playing with. And I think this list might be, I don't know if it's completely identical, but it looks pretty close. I didn't compare sideboards, but
yeah, they're
you
they're,
know,
they're on the same team and they tested together, so
yeah.
I believe it's the same list.
All right, that makes sense. So we'll see how this matchup plays out. But yeah, this TJP mid range deck, that's kind of the story of the tournament. Again, one of the I believe Team ET is the one that 7 of their 8 players brought this list, and then 2 other players independently brought this list. And it's been refined and developed over quite some time here. Even though it's a 3 faction deck, the influence requirements are pretty light, so you get to play a lot of sigils, right? We see 7 time sigils, which enables really consistent ability to play that turn 1 initiative stance, because you also have 4 Diplo seals you can play that initiate off of, and 4 Seed of Progress, which will usually be undepleted turn 1 as well. So turn 1 initiative stands into strong stuff, accelerating a game plan. You can either stall out the board or overwhelm it with Obelisk. If you stall it out, you have Crystallize, Scouting Party at the top end. Crystallize is double primal, but you only play it super late in the game, so you can get there eventually. And in the meantime, you function off of double time, double justice just fine.
Yeah, I mean, this deck definitely needs double primal, double time, double justice. But like you said, you can really hold off on primal, and you can play the majority of your cards with honestly just 1 time and 1 justice.
Yeah. The Enforcers, Titans, Crystallize, those are the double influence. Everything else is good to go. Where on the other end, we have maybe a bit more of an ambitious power base, but we're used to it at this point, right?
Yeah.
We've got the old Tavrod Armory, so we just saw Tony G play this, so and we saw how that influence can get tricky, right? Tavrod needs double justice, double shadow. Ikaria needs triple justice, triple fire. But we also saw how useful privilege of rank is at helping to at least make sure you have double justice hit. And once you have that, the rest of the stuff you'll eventually get to play. As long as your rune hammers and harsh rules can get out of your hand, you'll be doing all right as an armory player.
So how do you think the matchup overall will go? Like, who do you think's favored?
Whew. I don't know how much we've seen this matchup already in this tournament, so I don't have those results offhand, but 2 main decks stand together from this TJP mid-range. Scouting Party is a nice way to reload. I like what TJP is doing here, but they are a bit more vulnerable to torch than maybe some of these other mid-range lists, and we'll see how that plays out as this match goes underway.
So fun fact, in the tournament, Tony G and Child Roland in their round 1 both played against TJP and beat it.
There you
So
have it.
currently 2-0 over the
Yeah.
TJP deck. But I actually think the TJP deck is still favored just because it's a deck with Obelisk and Scouting Party,
Yeah.
and that's really hard for something like Armory to deal with. However, you can have kind of what's happening here where you play out, your smaller units, and Runehammer is still a card. Weapons still get a ton of value. Harsh Rule still clears the board. So it's definitely very possible for Armory to win.
Yep, and here we see Roland had the option of using a Sword of Ikaria and a torch to try and take out this Seraph. Did not, but can still do that, as Obelisk is the play from David. But instead, just hoping this Harsh Rule cleans up whatever mess David continues to put on this board here.
Yeah, and I think he's not that concerned about taking too much damage.
Mhm.
While the TJP deck in my mind is still kind of an aggro deck in that it's like a very proactive
Mhm.
deck. It just plays out threats. it doesn't kill very slow or quickly, and it doesn't have reach.
The one thing I would question with being conservative like this, like I realize you have harsh rule, is that Torch and Sword of Ikaria now basically kill
Do
nothing
nothing. Yeah. Yep.
because your opponent has an obelisk in play. So
Wow.
like holding them and hoping to get one for ones with each of them just isn't really realistic. As we see, Child Roland misses on power this turn, now has to do the Torch sword line, opting to take out Kothon instead of uh, Seraph because Kothon could threaten to ultimate this turn. Instead, that doesn't happen. David noticing Child Roland missed power last turn means, all right, you've got to draw undepleted power or you can't harsh roll here. Child Roland does not, just draws a Tavrod for turn, and now David might just hit that good old A space here with all these Yeti spies.
Yeah, this looks like it's going to be over very quickly. Um,
Yeah.
Child Roland was really banking on trying to get a little bit of value and play this maiden out because he knew he couldn't
Yeah.
get to harsh rule potentially,
Yep.
but he wasn't prepared for obelisk into scouting party into another scouting party probably.
Yep. So Maiden trades with that Seraph. David draws 4 cards, and if it's power, great. That means Obelisk gets powered up, and if it's units, great because you have an Obelisk. And yeah, that's what we see here. Amber Acolyte finds another power. David goes to 7. We'll have the 8th next turn. Child Roland finds a sigil off the top, though, and gets to clear this board. Needed that undepleted power.
Even so, he's really not out of the water yet. Like, here
Yeah.
comes just another scouting party, and he's just dead on board.
Yep, Child Roland needs to rip another harsh rule off the top here. Just finds a Seat of Vengeance, and Tavrod can't block all of them. Can only block one unit, and even if David didn't have this vanquish, he's dead. And Child Roland scoops it up, and this is what you were alluding to. You thought TJP was favored, and it sure looked like it there. Realized Child Roland stumbled on that harsh rule, but I don't know how big of a difference that really made that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the power issues, or rather the TJP deck playing out more smoothly, was a big contributor to the game there.
Mm-hmm.
But against, had that been another deck that didn't have Obelisk and Scouting Party, getting a little bit ahead of Armory still has a chance to get some value. But against something like TJP, there's just no way.
All right, so now we're moving into sideboards. And if you thought scouting parties a headache for Armory, how about Humbug Swarm making 3/1/1 flyers? Do you think that
Yeah,
comes in here?
how about Humbug Swarm, Island's Choice, and Backlash, right?
Yeah, there's
That
some good stuff here.
Oh man, yeah. So I don't know what I'm not sure what the TJP deck is going to take out per se. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
some removal, but man, are they going to have answers to Harsh Rule? And
Yeah,
even if Harsh Rule does get played, they're just going to play more and more units
I,
afterwards.
I think I can go on a limb and say Crystallize is coming out here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a little not great against a deck full of endurance units and not playing that many units anyways, but it looks like the challenge is out. This next game will be getting underway right now.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how this one plays out post board. I'm not sure if Roland really has too many great options. I think Furnace Mage is not terrible against Obelisk. But I mean, he really just needs to actually deal with the board, and it's really hard to do that when TJP can go so wide.
So this is a kind of awkward start for David. Has the initiates to ramp his power, but didn't have his only units to accelerate into were double influence in Titan
Yeah,
and Valkyrie Enforcer, so didn't actually get to get them out that far ahead of schedule. Still, it's the Titans out a turn early, which is could be difficult to deal with, but Child Roland has the Vanquish in hand. It's just David's debating on whether or not he even wants to swing with these initiates right now as he draws a third one. If I was David, I think I would just start trading them off with Artisan, but
yeah,
maybe he's
I
banking
agree.
on drawing an Obelisk. It's just that means you're not drawing power.
Even if you draw the Obelisk, I mean, you can still play it, and it still trades with the Rakana
Yeah.
Artisan, so you're just missing damage. But
Yeah.
either way, here we are.
And this is
Roland,
looking good for Roland right now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, and the Shadow Sigil is great.
Yeah.
Having the only real, traditional card draw from, drawing from your deck spell there, uh, in Privilege of Rank, doing
Mhm.
really useful at this stage in the game. Not so great later on once you have your power already established, but right now it's
Yeah.
perfect.
So David has not hit double justice yet. Even if he did, I don't know if he'd play out the enforcer. Okay, finds a desert marshal here. Roland has the option of like setting up harsh rule into dice show, but is I guess waiting to see if Kothon gets activated, or also being wary of his opponent could be playing stand together, right? So you don't want to exactly have them use stand together here. Maybe just banking on letting dice show clean up this mess.
Yeah, what I think also he wants to happen is for him to be able to harsh roll, and then David to be like, all right, cool, scouting party, and then he answers with Copper Hall Bailiff.
Yeah. Yep, saving bailiff as potentially an answer to party makes a lot of sense. And now we see the dice show take out the Kothon before it ever got the chance to ultimate. Now Marshall intercepts this dice show to finish it off. Roland could have bailiff last turn if he was definitely going to dice show this turn, right? Then it takes less damage. The problem with that plan is then you playing out a bailiff while you still have a harsh rule in hand, and that was kind of the tension going on there.
Riccardo Artisan not the most powerful draw here, but Roland certainly happy to play it. He doesn't really want to he doesn't want to commit harsh rule or bailiff at all for a while, and he doesn't really want to keep taking 1 damage.
Yeah, basically the quality of Child Roland's top decks go up every time you play Ricano Artisan. It's the same idea as playing Obelisk, right? It makes the rest of your bad units like Amber Acolyte and Initiates of Sands better because you played Obelisk. And it's kind of the same thing here as Quarry finds a harsh rule, discards a Slay.
Yeah, Quarry was an excellent draw there because he really wants to dig as quickly as possible to get to these now buffed up weapons and start getting value, especially now that he has these harsh rules.
Yeah, so David, finds a stand together. That's, he doesn't have the best board to protect, but it's certainly something. Child Roland, though, might be able to sniff it out here as he uses a Seek power. And because the cost of this harsh rule is reduced, he'll be able to cast both of them in the same turn at some point, either next turn. He can't do it this turn because he used Seek. But
it's
yeah,
also
David's
just not that much value.
Yep. So David's just going to end of turn stand. Doesn't want to hold it up forever. Just wants to start bashing here. So Roland will have the option of either double harsh ruling if he wants to deal with this board, or he could use bailiff plus harsh rule. Bailiff can pop all the Aegis as well.
I think he'll be more inclined to use bailiff.
Mm-hmm. And the other fun thing will be if he goes bailiff rule, I think he'll use the cheaper harsh rule here. He has so much power that I think the information is more important, right? Your opponent will see like, oh, you got harsh rule off Quarry or something like that. I don't know. It's probably being too cute because you have dice show in your deck, but
well, either way, you're hiding a card, right? Like
they don't know you got harsh rule off until you cast it. Yeah, that's true. It actually hides more information this way. Your opponent knows you got a card from Quarry in hand. They still don't know what it is.
Yeah. But that Runehammer actually a pretty big deal here because Roland can't answer it, and it is a real clock.
Yeah, Runehammer came in from the sideboard from level 13 David. Roland just needs to draw a weapon of his own to answer it, and there it is. David, Roland's hammer puts David's to shame, and now Roland's the one beating down, and Furnace Mage, nice answer to Obelisk and these hammers. I think we'll see it maybe get slow rolled here because Roland has that harsh rule in hand.
Yeah. And now both players just sitting around with all this removal and nothing to remove.
Yeah, well, I think we might be able to call it for Roland here as David's breaking a bit too long, and now he's got 2 harsh rules to back up this hammer. And this is not looking good for David. David not only drew all of this power, also had triple initiate this hand. So a lot of power this time around. Not quite as many threats as Child Roland evens this one up 1-1.
Yeah, and Roland also drawing up to 11 power, but he got through more cards in his deck and was able to get value out of his stuff. And so we'll see him take game 2 going 1-1 here. I mean, aReNGee can definitely put up a fight against the TJP list.
Well, yeah, as we alluded to, or straight up mentioned, aReNGee has faced this TJP list already twice in this tournament and won. It's not like it's a heavy favorite either way. if TJP is favored, it just might be a slight favorite. There's still a lot of game to this matchup. Both decks are very powerful. They have strong game plans, and it's about executing that and getting the draws the way you want them to go.
Yeah, any three faction deck, just I mean, assuming that you built a good three faction deck, uh, should be very powerful because you have access to so many cards. It's just about whether you can, how smoothly the deck runs.
Yep. So here we go. Game three. Whoever takes this stays alive in the tournament. Meanwhile, the loser goes into the void or something like that. I don't know where we put him, but here we go. Game is underway. Child Roland is on the play, and hey, finds the best 2-drop ever in Quarry, right? Maybe Artisan's better.
No, Clary is the best two drop because it's Shadow, and Shadow is
Yeah,
the best faction.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
Well, this early Furnace Mage could be useful. There's no Obelisk in David's hand, but it's still a body early. And
Hmm.
wow, this is going to be answered nicely by this sort of Icaria.
Yep, sort of Icaria will be the play here from Roland, takes out the student, and David doesn't have any threats until Swarm comes out in a few more turns, and uh, man,
The Copper
Child
Hall
Roland's
Bailiff.
hands lining up real nicely against that with Bailiff and
Yeah,
Harsh Rule.
yeah. Bailiff has his glasses on and he's got his eyes looking at those humbugs.
Yeah. All right. Roland will opt to just play the Furnace Mage out on this empty board. Doesn't want to save it for, obelisk reasons. But David found a Titan off the top, gets to deploy it here. And Roland doesn't have a clean answer to that. You can Harsh Rule here, but instead he'll swing in with Furnace Mage. If David blocks, Hammer can finish it off.
And I think he's going to elect to take the 5 damage here, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to commit this harsh rule against a deck that has so many threats.
Yep, not pulling the trigger on Harsh Rule yet. David does have this backlash in hand lurking. We'll see if I imagine he'll opt to hold it up because Humbug Swarm not quite as good when your Sandstorm Titan's still alive.
Yeah.
And yep.
And David absolutely knows there's a hammer now because, just because of the way Roland has played.
Mhm.
So is Roland going to harsh rule here or is he going to play the hammer? That's the question. And if he plays the harsh rule, he's taking 7 and then going to be able to harsh rule next turn, but still.
Yeah, this is scary because David's not only representing backlash, he's also representing stand together, right? That's the
Yes,
other card
yes.
on Trial Roland's mind here is stand together, where Hammer at least cleanly answers this Kothon basically no matter what, except for that card Desert Marshal. So there's so many different fast interaction things to play
Yeah.
around, but no Desert Marshal from David as the hammer comes down.
Yeah, and Child Roland taking the more conservative play, and I think it's going to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
He can get value out of that hammer anyway if he, gets a smuggler stash or something.
Mm-hmm. Second verse, same as the first. Another Kothon comes down. Even if David drew straight up nothing there, I think he would have played nothing as well. Even opting to hold this Vanquish through all of this because he's winning the race, right? And has a backlash up.
Yeah, and this is going to be pretty hard for Child Roland. Especially with David having Party and Humbug Swarm in the back end there. If it was something more easily answerable, then I would say, I mean, yeah, okay, you're right. He does have Bailiff.
Yeah, he's got another harsh rule and a bailiff, but again, he's going to have to use one rule here. But the bailiff at least answers swarm or scouting party. But now obelisk is really going to cause some problems for Child Roland here. Makes the bailiff quite a bit worse.
Yeah, and so Roland is absolutely forced to harsh rule here, and then we're just gonna see, whatever David wants to play. I mean, if he doesn't draw power, then it's gonna be the Humbug Swarm. Interesting.
David's at 13, does not want to go to 9 and just trades off a Kothon here. Maybe thinking Child Roland's going to somehow just has a soul read and knows Harsh Rule's coming here. Child Roland doesn't have a weapon that can take out Titan, has to have a Vanquish or something. And here comes the Humbugs. They're flying now. But Roland can shrink them down a bit here if he wants, or he can gain 4 armor. But yeah, he goes with the Shrink-a-Dink, plays Bailiff, and now these vermin are slightly less threatening, but still, it's a 3-turn clock until Throne Warden comes down.
Yeah, I mean, aReNGee just losing a lot of its ways to gain card advantage against, things like Humbug Storm and Scouting Party. So Roland just has not been able to keep up, and here we are with that Smuggler Stash is card advantage, but it's way too little, way too late.
Yeah, it's pretty slow here, so I guess we'll see the Throne Warden grants Trial Roland 4 extra armor. He's got 2 blockers on the ground, so right now David's a couple points short, but if he draws power, that's lethal. And if he doesn't draw power, well, that means he's going to find some action. Valkyrie Enforcer can pop the Aegis on Throne Warden, opens up the Vanquish, and that's going to push through 8 damage for lethal.
And that's going to be Child Roland, uh, previous winner of an invitational, out of this one.
Yeah, and David stays alive, takes this match 2-1, advances into losers bracket round 3. We'll be awaiting the results of the next winners bracket round before he'll know who his opponent is. But yeah, Child Roland gets taken down. TJP takes this one, and it looks like we've got a backup match to move into. A Lunix versus Tatsumaki. So this should be Felon Control versus Chalice. Ooh, that sounds like a fun one for us.
Oh yeah, and that's a matchup with a lot of play back and forth.
Yeah, i.e., did Azindo's gift land?
Yeah, that's a matchup with a lot of. I really hope I have Omen or Azindo's gift.
It's like, I hope you like Rain of Frogs, because that's in the forecast for this one.
Oh wow, yeah. Are you in the match? Yeah,
Yeah, we just got word that a Rain of Frogs hit a Vera. That's the frog in a Lunix's hand.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Rain of Frogs has a lot of big hits on both ends. And okay, so let's see here. This is game 2. Tatsumaki did take the first game. So Lunix is down a game right now, but has a Champion of Cunning going with an Aegis. And in comes the Kothon. Withering Witch, the draw here, can turn that frog into a lethal unit in a way. But right now, it looks like a Lunix is just content to beat down with this Champion of Cunning.
Yeah, this is not a bad position to be on the side of Feln, having a champion and being so ahead in life.
Mm-hmm.
And Tatsumaki not having a Chalice. He finally plays the Chalice now, but it might be a little too late.
Well, Tatsumaki has the ability to deal with this champion. Yeah, has Protect plus Harsh. So it's really down to now Tatsumaki is in Channel the Tempest range, which is a scary thing. Like if you take the Protect route to kill this champion, which you might have to do here, it means you don't have Protect to counter Channel the Tempest damage. So that's something you have to keep in mind. But you got to do what you got to do. But still, he found the Chalice. He might be able to stabilize here. Could go for goes for the Kothon ultimate instead of the Protect harsh rule line.
Yeah, and I think that's the play, because if a Lunix commits more into this, you're happy, and you're also just winning right now. So I don't know. I mean, okay, sure, you're at 3, but on the board you have a stable position, right?
Yeah, and the other big thing there was that you still got to hold up Protect, so you're not worried about them blowing out a double block or something like that.
Or channeling your face. Or whatever.
Yeah, and depending on how this turn goes, as we see the frog turn into a removal spell, as we alluded to, and followed up by Witch, we might see the Protect on champion here clear the board.
Yeah, we're going to have to see that come out, because now he knows he's open to a Storm or a Harbinger, and that's just going to be lethal.
Yep. So, using Channel to kill up the champion, leaving himself dead to Harbinger, but banking on drawing an undepleted power. Drew undepleted power that turn. But had to use Protect to pop the Aegis. So, Lunix has the Harbinger. This is lethal.
Yep. And that's going to put the series 1-1, I believe.
Yeah, Tatsumaki taking some risks, but reasonable ones. I think.
He was trying to be conservative, and he was playing for the win. He was trying to get as much value as he could and turn the game around as hard as possible once he got the chance. But turns out Lunix had the Harbinger, which, I mean, there's quite a few, wipe effects on a Lunix.
Yeah. There certainly is. So Witch doing the setup, Black Sky Harbinger doing the teardown, and we've got a tied up series as we move into game 3. Maybe a little tweak their sideboards a bit here, but it doesn't look like it. So we're going to get into game number 3, Chalice versus Felm. And let's see here. It looks like Gabe had to take a quick break, but I'm not. I'm still chugging along here with the players. So Gabe will be rejoining us in just a second. But in the meantime, let's see what kind of hands we got here. We're just developing power. It's everybody's favorite part of the game. Tatsumaki playing some Seek powers. Alunix going to be forced to use some Vera's favor here. They're a handy spell to hold on to in a Withering Witch deck, but ultimately you got to hit your power every turn. In the meantime, Tatsumaki has some options and goes with Temple Scribe. The hand full of 2-drops, even Omen of Austerity there in hand as a way to deal with the Zindel's Gift. Not doing a whole lot else, though. I don't think the Lunix has Staff of Stories in the sideboard, but let me make sure of that. Yeah, no Staff of Stories, so it's really just for the Zindel's Gift because, hey, that card's really, really important to deal with if you're Chalice. So even though Vision of Austerity is a narrow card in this matchup, it serves a pretty important purpose.
Safe travels, friend.
All right, so Lunix is on the only sigil draw. Not a great spot for a double Champion of Cunning hand. You really want those banners and especially primal sources so that these Champion of Cunnings come down as Aegis flyers. And instead, Lunix just has a bunch of Vera's favor and primal sigils. So not a great start for a Lunix here, but at least has the Steward of the Past beat downs for now as Tatsumaki finds a Chalice, deploys it, and now the pressure is on Lunix to end this game and might just have to play out a Naked Champion here, although that may be too aggressive even in the face of this Chalice. And yeah, opts to pass up on it.
Yeah, I mean, from Alunix's perspective, though, I mean, these are the cards you want to see in this control matchup. You want to see your bombs. That's where you want to be. The only problem is that Tatsumaki got his card advantage engine out at the earliest stage possible, and you weren't really threatening anything. So you're giving him time to build up this advantage.
All right, and it turns out we may have had the wrong main cam setup, so we'll be fixing that either shortly or right now. We'll get observation on Lunix. In the meantime, I'm sure we perfectly narrated it as Withering Witch comes down here, shrinks this Kothon a bit, but not doing a whole lot else. Lunix getting closer to that 5 primal sources, though.
Yeah, and Tatsumaki, I believe, still has the option to just activate Kothon here, which is still a ton of value. These champions are very close to having Aegis and very close to getting a ton of value, but he is definitely susceptible to hand disruption. I'm not sure how many Rain of Frogs are in Tatsumaki's list,
2.
So it's definitely a concern.
Yep, 2 Rain of Frogs out of Tatsumaki's list in the side. And as we were mentioning, the Vision of Austerity, that's also a 2 of in the side, and at least 1 came in here along with that Protect, which is in the sideboard. So yeah, here we just see another Kothon come down, a Chalice activation. Just get to hold up Desert Marshal and Protect as Lunix finds a Lightning Storm here. Could clean up a Kothon and a Scribe, which is a Chalice target. So not terrible, but maybe the channel will come out here instead.
Yeah, the channel is definitely a high possibility with Tatsumaki being at only 13. I'm curious, am I wrong? Does Vision of Austerity only hit
relics? It's just gift.
It's just gift, right?
Like, yeah, I was talking about that while you were on your break, but yeah, there's no Staff of Stories or anything else to hit. It hits literally just a Zindel's Gift.
All right.
But it's an important card in this, like, in this long, grindy control matchup. With both players drawing a lot of cards, they're gonna actually hit those 2 ofs that are really important to hit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know how many protects he could have brought in. Maybe he just didn't have, 4 protects or something like that.
2 protects is the number. So, and sometimes gift can sneak through that. So the 2 protect, 2 Rain of Frog, 2 Vision of Austerity was kind of the disruption in the side, and I think all of that came in as, surprisingly, this Champion of Cunning comes down. Lunix opting to go with that to try and apply pressure, and Tatsumaki gets to silence it. Desert Marshal gets Chalice, and now Kothon takes to the skies and brings an Owl Buddy with him.
So he can he can Varus favor the Desert Marshal, Storm clear away most of this board.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Illumix just has a lot of options here, right?
Yeah.
The channel is still available for 6 damage to the face. I don't think he wants to play the champion, but he can play a champion and buff the whole board by 2, which is definitely a reasonable line. I don't think you want to do that into a deck that could potentially have so many harsh rules and things, but still.
And another like little thing to point out here is Tatsumaki opted to ultimate the Kothon that was weaker, right? And some people might think, oh, that's weird. Don't you want your strong one to already be flying? But the point is that this 4-1 was more likely to die, where the 4-5 Kothon is less likely to, so you still have a better chance of activating that ultimate in further turns. And it's those little decisions that you might think about the wrong way that add up in these long control matchups.
Yeah, and you're going to see that come into play if Illumix goes for Varus Favor or Lightning Storm here.
Yeah, this is a tough spot for Illumix, but it looks like we are going to see that line you highlighted where Lightning Storm comes down, then the attack comes in. Tatsumaki has the option of just trading the whole board here.
I don't know that he's going to take it, but yeah, making Steward like possible to trade into is really interesting line from Illumix. I mean, I suppose it doesn't matter because he doesn't mind it getting traded away, and he probably would have stormed anyway. It's just that it gives Tatsumaki more information and leaves the choice up to Tatsumaki.
Yeah, and we'll see what Tatsu takes here. I mean, with no harsh rule in hand, Tatsumaki's got a double channel the Tempest hand. I think he's really tempted to just trade off this board, get a board reset, and make his single target removal way stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the double channel from Tatsumaki here, I think he's feeling pretty strong. He just doesn't want to tap out at any point, right?
Yeah.
Like you play channel, then you get gifted the next turn. That feels really bad.
Well, he doesn't mind about gift because he has vision in hand. So
true.
Illumix would have to have gift plus backlash up or something like that, and I don't think Illumix plays backlash yet. 0 backlash in Illumix is 90. So yeah, with Vision of Austerity, that's why Tatsumaki tapped out there, right? Just didn't even hold up Protect because didn't need to, because Vision of Austerity gives you that kind of safety net.
Yeah, because it's a lot of the answers that to gift have to be played in response, particularly Protect. But things like Ruin and Vision of Austerity, you can just be like, oh, I got gifted. Well, let me just deal with that, now, later.
So I think Tatsumaki, is going to opt to try and deal with some of this board. The Desert Marshal comes down, silences the 7-5. Then Tatsu uses the Chalice to draw deeper. Vanquish will clean up one of these units. Yeah, just take out the 7-5. And Tatsu still gets to hold up Protect here, so not too worried about Channel the Tempest finishing him off at least.
And now, after both champions have been silenced and killed, we get to the 5th Primal.
Yep. So Channel the Tempest comes out here. Tatsumaki will prevent the damage, but the card draw still happens. And Illumix just finds some more action. Black Sky Harbinger and Wisdom. So it's really just Illumix trying to finish this game off before Tatsu can really grab hold of it with this, Chalice slowly churning through. And I think this whether or not Tatsu decides to gain 5 life next turn could be real important.
Yeah, I mean, this Steward attack is great here. I mean, 4-5 is just really, really awkward for Tatsumaki. Getting that +2 attack on that Steward is very useful. Even though he did, throw away the champion before he could get the Aegis on it, this 5-5 Steward is going to do a lot of work.
Yeah. So Tatsumaki playing with some risks, but knowing he had Protect meant that he could kind of afford to take them. And now I think we'll see this Lumen Defender finally come out and prop up his life total a bit, especially with no more Protects, no more Backlashes, no more Islands choices in hands. And yeah, there we see it. Tatsumaki goes back up to 10, bashes a Lunex down to 9, and these Wisdoms are going to have to find something good.
Yeah, and even if this Harbinger comes down, Tatsumaki just has the option of ultimating Kothon, and that Sabotage could be pretty big here.
Yep, Sabotage will come in and fish around, see if it can see an island's choice or something. It's not going to, though. But Tatsumaki will choose to Wisdom in response here. Just draw 2 extra cards. And because you have redundant channels anyway and stuff like that. So, oh, did he still have an Aegis from Island's Choice? Is that what happened
No.
there? No. Oh, it did resolve?
Yeah, I think Illuminix is just picking. I
Oh,
think.
okay. Gotcha. Oh, it sees a Chalice and a Harsh Roll and takes a channel. Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't think he minds if he harsh rolls because Tatsumaki's board is very threatening.
Yeah, yeah. Linux is not sure how he's going to win this game yet. Again, Chalice has Chalice going and a whole lot of answers, but yeah, I agree with taking out the channel there. As you said, harsh rule, like boards are pretty even right now. This Kothon hasn't even ultimated yet.
Yeah, I think for Illuminix to win, he's going to have to draw a combination of Vera's and the other channel because it's just too much. I mean, if he can get a lethal channel going, which is going to be really hard at starting from 2 cards in hand, or if he can commit, he can get Tatsumaki to harsh roll and then start casting Vera's.
Yeah, like even something like Rain of Frogs will be too little too late here as Chalice is in play, so those frogs just actually end up drawing lots of cards. So it's just, as you said, Vera beatdowns getting back champions, but both champions were carefully silenced by Tatsumaki before taking them out.
And that gift is
no good.
Yeah, not going to be very useful here, especially with the vision in Tatsumaki's hand.
Yeah, so that's what we were talking about. Even if Illuminix draws the second gift, it won't do anything because the first one will mean he can't cast the second one.
I mean, I think even in this position, if Tatsumaki had no answer to gift, he just has a big board and an active Chalice, and
right.
I don't know that Illuminix would be able to get through that.
Yeah. Gift was already not an appealing draw, and it's even less appealing knowing that they had the vision of austerity. As we said, Linux just needs to find some combination of Vera's and an unsilenced Champion of Cunning to really have a shot here.
Yeah, which plus Storm is still worthwhile to consider. If it catches Tatsumaki off guard, he just dies. But I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, well, the Harbinger gets channeled. Tatsumaki draws a whole lot more cards and is threatening Lethal in the Skies next turn as Illuminix goes down to 5.
Yeah, it all comes down to this draw, and it's a Primal Sigil, which means that Tatsumaki is going to kill Illuminix outside of some ridiculous block, and that's not the case. Okay.
Yep, so Tatsumaki takes it. Chalice was ready for this matchup, takes out Feln, and let's check out the rest of these bracket results as Illuminix falls out of the loser's bracket and into the unknown void, and see what else is going on here. We've got Tabu over Pupicitus. Yeah, so Pupicitus is eliminated. Manus was eliminated. Grimfam moves on against Tabu.
With his own deck.
Yeah, Komodo advances over Mobius. Level 13, David advances over Child Roland, as we saw. Unearthly takes out Darkness. The Jito Queen threat is dead for now. Can always come back later, but at least in this tournament, it's gone. So Unearthly will be up against Tatsumaki, who we just saw take out a Lunix. Tony G still alive with that armory, taking out Flash. And Kamado going up against Tony G. Man, we're going to have some good losers bracket matches coming up. And I think that might be, let me make sure I actually have the rounds down correct. Yeah, it'll be losers bracket round 3 next. So we'll be highlighting one of these matches after we take this short break.